November from Yangzhou, China. Now that's what sets us apart as KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
After working for me all these years, it should be pretty clear to you that I'm not someone you'd want to be an enemy.
Well, I wanted you to know that I've been in love with Jaime. Doctor, what is it?
I'm sorry, Madam, but your baby's dead.
You are a murderer. You killed my baby. Get out of here now. I want you out. I hate seeing you happy. I hope one day you suffer pain far worse than what I'm suffering right now.
Kupata Yes My Love kama sikiza tune yako, dial *811 *816#.
Mutiso, wewe nafanya nini hiyo? Wacha nieleza, panataka hiyo kitu. Panataka Mutiso.
Ai mbo sasa hiyo tu unakuja unaanza kunizuzia kwa nini hata sijafanya kitu?
Wewe nieleza Mutiso, hapana leta hiyo kitu. Taka. Wacha nachukua simu. Hello? Yes my lovely. Yes, I did the dishes.
Kupata Yes My Love, bonyeza *811 *816#. *811 *816#.
Every day, over 15 million members are transforming Africa. Million members empowered to learn, to grow, to harvest, to lead, to dream. Equity. Karibu member.
Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. You're just in time for the lunchtime news. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lucy Mwaura. 41 days to the next general election, political leaders continue to traverse the country. This as Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria moves to court. We are on the ground. We'll be bringing you details as events unfold. Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Our top focus this afternoon, Deputy President William Ruto says his administration will ensure the sports fund is utilized to develop the sports and creative industry. Speaking while meeting youth, the United Democratic Alliance presidential flag bearer urged young Kenyans to turn up in their numbers on the election day and vote wisely.
Bottom up is not a slogan. Bottom up is a program. And that is why I want to ask of you, the young people of our nation, this is a defining moment in the history of our country. This is not a moment you want to be a bystander. This is not a moment you want to watch from the sidelines. This is a moment you should be right in the middle of the action. And I want to ask every young person in Kenya, whichever way you want to vote, but you must vote. You must wake up and vote. Ya kwamba hiyo fund kila mwaka, the whole of it itaenda kwa mambo ya sports, kama vile sports infrastructure, kama hii hapa, sports stadia, sports, ile mambo yote ambayo itasaidia sports, hatutapeleka kwingine mahali saa hizi imepelekwa. Saa hizi imepelekwa kwenda kutengeneza hospitali. Hospitali tutajenga na pesa ya serikali, lakini hii tutaweka katika fund ambayo itafaidi watu sportsmen kama wewe, coach kama wewe, muweze kupata vifaa kama hizi na kuwe na progressive investment katika hiyo mambo yote ya sports infrastructure. Tuwe na stadium. Watu wamekuwa wakiniuliza sana mambo ya stadium. Ile stadium tulikuwa tumesema 11, sasa 80% imeisha.
A section of political leaders from Baringo County now want the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to use both the manual and biometric voter register for backup purposes. Led by Tiati Member of Parliament William Kamtet, the leaders say the move by IEBC to prioritize use of biometric to identify voters will not guarantee Kenyans a free, fair and credible election.
The decision made by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission on the use of biometrics to verify voters continues to elicit mixed reactions from political leaders. Speaking in Tiati while drumming up support for Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga, Tiati Member of Parliament William Kamket said IEBC should consider manual backup since the biometric registers have tendency to fail by default or design.
Naungana na watu wote wale viongozi kusema kwamba katika hii community na fingerprints mzuri, tunakubali technology kuangalia kura ya wananchi, lakini pia kuwe na backup. Ndio hiyo kompyuta yenu ikiharibika, hatutaki hii watu wote hata mmoja, tunataka kura zote zihesabiwe.
Tirioko, Member of County Assembly Sam Locales, on his part said some of Tiati residents will be disadvantaged if IEBC only uses the system.
Biometric register itumike na ile ingine manual register itumike. Hili wakati mtu ataangalia jina yake ama afinye ile kidude na isiweze kuingia, aweze kuangaliwa kwa register na aweze kuthibitisha kwamba ako ndani.
IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati is in bid to arrive to an agreement on how to conduct the elections.
A director of a firm dealing in sale of scrap metal has been released on a bond of 2 million shillings after denying evading tax amounting to over 150 million shillings. Habib Ahmed was charged alongside his firm, Masuti Enterprises Limited, of failure to pay the Commissioner of Domestic Taxes income tax for the company between 2016 and 2018.
Businessman Habib Ahmed before Mombasa Law Court's Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku.
Register a company that
he denied evading tax amounting to 155,471,597 shillings. According to Kenya Revenue Authority Investigation and Enforcement Department, his scrap metal company, Masuti Enterprises, was investigated by KRA, and investigations revealed that the company had made sales amounting to 337 981,732 between the period 30th June 2016 and 30th June 2018, but never declared income or paid income tax from sales proceeds. Further, the company never filed income tax returns.
We are before court with the aspect of his relationship to the same company. That's why we are appearing before court today, and that's where the issue before court emanates from. So my challenge would be, technically on behalf of the company that we are disputing that the accused person relates to.
The court released Ahmed on a bond of 2 million shillings with similar surety or an alternative cash bail of 1 million shillings. For Lunchtime News, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Thank you, Troy. We're now crossing over to the Supreme Court, where my colleague Serafina Robi is on standby. This is after Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria petitioned the Chief Justice over clearance at the IEBC as presidential aspirant. Serafina, good afternoon.
Indeed, a very good afternoon, Irene, Muchuma, Odim. We're coming to you live from the Supreme Court, as you have mentioned, and the Usawa kwa Wote party leader Mwangi wa Iria has just left the premises Supreme Court, whereby he had come to petition the Chief Justice to intervene in what he alleges to be the injustices that has been put upon him since he started vying, or he put out his aspirations of vying seeking to be cleared to vie for the presidential seat. In the letter that we have seen that Wairia has petitioned to the Chief Justice, he alleges a number of injustices that he has gone through since the first time that he said he's going to vie for the presidential seat. Key among them is that he failed, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission failed to clear him, saying that he had not met the required signatures, which are about 48,000 from constituents of about, or at least 24 counties. Therefore, he was not cleared on that basis. And Wairia, speaking today, says that through his documents, or the documents that he has right now, says that he actually met that point whereby he says he actually had the 48,000 required signatures, but he was not cleared. He further says that he sought reprieve from the commission so that his complaints could be heard, but this fell on deaf ears and he was not cleared, which premised him to move to the High Court, whereby upon reaching the High Court, his petition was heard by Justice Onguni and listed for inter-parties hearing, and thereafter taken before Justice Anthony Mrima, whereby it was supposed to be heard before him. But this did not happen, as thereafter there were preliminary objections from the Commission, which were later predisposed for hearing, and later on this matter was adjourned to the 27th of June, which was yesterday, and the case was supposed to be heard and determined yesterday before Justice Anthony Mrima. But the Commission again sought for the judge to recuse himself from the case, saying that he had already shown his mind frame in the Sabina Chege versus the IEBC case, and therefore they're asking the judge that he could not listen or determine the matter. Justice Anthony Mrima removed himself from the case, or recused himself from the case, and therefore directed the case to the principal judge who was supposed to hear and determine the case. Wairia says that upon seeking directions to get to know what or where his case will be listened from, he was told or got a notice from the judiciary website that the principal judge was away on 27th and 28th of June, which is today, therefore wondering what is the next step for him, which now premised him to come here to the Supreme Court to seek the intervention of the Chief Justice. Well, upon reaching here, he was allowed into the Supreme Court. He came here with his supporters. A number of his supporters here that escorted him to the Supreme Court. He was allowed inside the Supreme Court buildings, and whereby he met one of the legal officers here at the Supreme Court, since the Chief Justice is now part of a vetting process of the Court of Appeal judges. Therefore, he was not able to meet the Chief Justice, but was assigned to a legal officer who listened to him, and therefore was told that he will get directions on what next in a day's time to get to understand now what will happen And Waria says that even if he's allowed to campaign for a day, that will be okay for him, so long as he gets justice to know, or if there are no legal grounds barring him from vying for the presidential seat, then he should be cleared so that he can be allowed to vie for that seat. So right now we're waiting for directions from the Chief Justice to get to understand. Also, he hinted that a committee might be formed to get to listen into his allegations and find a way out. As of now, he says that he's not going to rest until he finds a justice. Back to you, Irene.
Thank you, Serafina. Good to have you. A detailed report there by my colleague Serafina Robi, who is at the Supreme Court after Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria moved to court to petition the CJ over his clearance by the IEBC ahead of the August polls as a presidential candidate. In other matters, a section of the Orange Democratic Movement Party officials in Kilifi County have called on voters in the region to adopt the 6-piece system to help the party gain numerical strength in legislative assemblies. The proposal has, however, created some disquiet in the region, with a section of aspirants accusing ODM of attempting to stifle democracy.
Officials of the ODM party in Kilifi County say they will ensure that electorate in the county are not swayed into voting in candidates from rival parties.
County hii ya Kilifi ni county ya ODM. Na tutahakikisha viti vyote kuanzia baba aliyeazimio president wetu na Martha Karua mpaka wale vitindamimba MCAs wote wametoka katika chungwa 6-piece.
Na tunataka tuhakikishe kwamba we are going to deliver these seats. Ndani ya Kilifi County watu wasihadaike na vyama vingine. Kama ni mambo ya paa haina baba, haina mama.
While drumming up support for the party, the officials at the same time cautioned their supporters against voting in Malindi MP Aisha Jumwa in the Kilifi gubernatorial race over what they term as controversy surrounding her degree credentials.
Mtu kama huyo tutamwamini vipi kwamba aje awe gavana asimamie mabilioni yote ya Kilifi County? Nataka kumwambia Owen, yeye sio shirika la kutathmini uhalali wa makaratasi. Lile shirika liko na hilo ndio tunasikiza litathmini kwamba je, ni kweli degree yake iko sawa ama iko makosa.
Sisi tunauelewa ya kwamba ukienda kuvalidate certificate ya masomo lazima uende KNQA ambayo ni Kenya National Qualification Authority. Ofisi zake ziko 4th floor na Coast House Waiyaki Way. Lakini yeye sio mtu wa kuja kutuambia ya kwamba zile degree za Aisha Jumwa hizo ni valid. Sisi tunajua sehemu zenye ambazo ni za kufuata.
Meanwhile, 4 aspirants in Mwiki Githurai MCA seat, among them UDA's candidate Samuel Choka Kamunge, have pulled out of the race to back up ODM's candidate Johnson Mwangi.
Naongea kwa niaba ya aspirant wengine. Mimi nilikuwa aspirant wa UDA, kuna aspirant rafiki yangu wa chama cha Tujibebe, kuna aspirant wa chama kingine cha chama cha kazi, tuko aspirant kama 5 ambao tumekubaliana kusupport.
Tusimame na huyu kijana kwa maana manifesto yake na yangu hata haikuwa na tofauti ilikuwa chama.
The 4 have pledged to work together to bring development for the residents. And Busia Deputy Governor Moses Mulomi, who is eyeing the county's top job, has maintained that he is best suited to succeed Governor Sospita Ojamong and continue his legacy in fixing the challenges facing the county.
Najua watu wengi husema ati wanataka wanasiasa. Nafikiri ile kazi ya ugavana kuingia ndio siasa ya kupita kuingia, na hiyo tutapiga. Lakini kazi yenyewe ni management, na sisi ndio specialists wa management.
Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
A cross-section of outgoing Kisii County MCAs have termed the budget passed recently by a group of their colleagues in the House an illegality. The MCAs claim the budget was purportedly passed after the County Assembly had adjourned on June 15th this year.
According to the MCAs, the budget, among other resolutions, were passed without the involvement of the acting Speaker, Davin Sonuso, Majority Leader James Anunda, chairpersons of key County Assembly Committee, and public participation.
I think there is laxity everywhere, and I'm calling upon Waziri Matiang'i
to put pressure so that we have the interest of the people being listened to.
And we are determined that all the violations of the law that have been committed, we are going to work the journey and ensure that we safeguard the interest.
The MCA's father claimed they were barred from accessing the county assembly on June 16th this year after it was adjourned on June 15th when they went to find out why the legal proceedings were being conducted.
The moment I tried to enter into the assembly, the doors were locked at the reception. I told my colleagues that there is a business going on here. When they came, leader majority is the second person who came. By that time, the security officers extended their security to the main gate.
It is very unfortunate that he himself, you can see all these honorable members who are here, that they were part, they didn't have even information that there was a sitting on the 16th, even when we had adjourned Sindai on Wednesday, the 15th of June this month.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
A section of Boda Boda stakeholders in the eastern region are calling on operators to be vigilant to avoid being used as agents of spreading hate and instigating violence during and after the 2022 general election. Speaking at Watertown in Makueni County during a 3-day peace meeting held by National Cohesion and Integration Commission in partnership with Pro-Peace Kenya, Alex Mtuku, Machakos Boda Boda chairman, said they have put strict guidelines in place to make sure any Boda Boda member caught in any act of violence will face full force of the law. He also called on Boda Boda operators to be ambassadors of peace as the country heads to the August polls. 3-4.
Election this year, tukuwe na election without the violence. Tunahimiza vijana wetu kama watu wa bodaboda, we have a peaceful election. Na tuna drive a program ambayo inasema election uchaguzi bila noma. Kwa hivyo tunahimiza pia vijana wasitumike. Tunaendelea na kuhimiza vijana wetu kutoka kwa mkutano. Tunahimiza vijana wetu wasikubali kutumika vibaya kuleta mambo mabaya katika nchi yetu. Kwa maana Kenya ni yetu sisi zote, ukiwa kabila gani ama kabila gani, sisi zote ni wa Kenya.
And it's also a call also to the youths to come and take part in active roles in ensuring that during and even after the elections that we maintain peace, because Kenya is our country.
More than 50 families in the Mafoko area of Makutano Town, Meru County, have been left homeless after their houses were demolished in a land dispute. The irate residents, in protesting against the eviction, descended on the bulldozer which was used in the demolition, setting it ablaze and accusing the landowner of unlawful displacement.
The families residing in this Mafoko area spent the better part of the night in the cold after their houses were demolished. The bulldozer and the people sent to carry out the demolition met the wrath of the residents.
Vijana wenye wanafanya na tinga hapa karibu wakanichukua, wakanikimbisha, ndio wakanitoa huko nje, at least ndio maisha yangu isiharibiwe, ndio walikuwa wanataka kunipiga pia. Alafu wao hawakuwa wamenipea namba zao ama kitu yote, walienda tu wakatoka venye wameona maneno imeharibika na hawa watu wameanza kunipiga, wao wakakimbia.
The locals who refused to speak on record alleged that a dispute between the two brothers who owned the plot led to the demolitions. They, however, say that the brothers should have solved the matter instead of resorting to displacing them in the wee hours of the night.
Mtu anapeanga watu notice, anawaambia nyumba zangu nitabomoa mwezi mwingine, so muzipanga kufanyia watu vizuri. Watoto hata kuweza kuenda shule juu sasa kama watu waliamushwa kubomolewa manyumba asubuhi, ilikuwa kitu kaa saa 12 ndio watu wengine walisikia manyumba ikianguka wakaanza kuamuka.
Efforts to reach the owners of the land bore no fruits. Yusufar reporting for Lunchtime News.
A security road linking Samburu East to Archer's Post has officially been opened. Speaking during the launch of the area. The region's governor, Moses Kulal, said the road was one of the 16,000 roads built by the administration to easy communication and commerce in the county. Kulal said the road was a milestone as it will make transportation of goods cheap and save time for locals who have been traveling long distances to access the Archers Post town.
Sana sana alikuwa anaenda mguu. Au hakuna gari napita. Labda uende mpaka junction huko, upanda gari, uende Wamba, enda Archers. Kwa hivyo hakuna namna ya kupita pande hii. Sasa Archers sasa imekuwa karibu.
We've done a number of structures in terms of bridges that connect major sections of Samburu. Here in Wamba, you've seen a Rig Bridge. This will go a long way in opening up the northern part of Samburu East.
The Kajiado County government says that all development projects being carried out in the region do undergo quality control to ensure safety and durability. The county executive committee member in charge of roads, Alex Cleowa, has assured locals and motorists that the engineering of the Pai Bridge will ensure there is no repeat of the collapse that was witnessed in February.
3 months after the collapse of the 100 million shilling bridge in Kajiado, the county government is appealing for calm. Kajiado County Executive Committee member in charge of roads, Alex Kilowa, announced that construction of the bridge is near completion.
Tunaona saa hii kwa hii mjengo ambayo sasa inaendelea saa hii, tunaona hii ikija kumalizika, tunaona ni haitafunjika tena.
Ilikuwa mwanzo tulikuwa tunapata shida sana, lakini juzi venye ilikuwa imetengenezwa tulikuwa tunataka tusaidika, but ilipoanguka hii msingi naona saa hii naiona ikiwa nzuri, nafikiri ikimalizika itakuwa sawa.
The Pai Bridge collapsed a week after its launch, igniting anger that the county may have failed to ensure good quality control. Villages in the 3 sub-counties were cut off during the floods which swept away the bridge.
Ilibomoka ni nzuri lakini sio kama hii. Naona hii ndio nzuri. Natumaini sana kabisa. Nashukuru mpaka serikali.
According to Kilowa, the county has not incurred any losses in the construction of the bridge. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
Well, what is the future of mobile phones? We'll be having an interactive session after the break during the business news. We are taking a short commercial break. See you thereafter with more details.
Hujapoteza uzuri wako wala heshima yako.
Mbona hauko mwazi na mimi? Amesema nini?
Hajasema chochote, ni yale maneno mimi niliyomtupia. Ndio nina hakika Keta atafikiria mambo yake kichwani na atafanya kitu ambacho sio kizuri.
Wewe na bad story kwisha. Wewe utasikiaje mtu aje nyumbani kwako tuna kumchukua Hana?
Don't you even think about that.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. Time for business news. The second container terminal at the port of Mombasa is handling 40% of cargo destined to Kenya through the Indian Ocean and has helped decongest the port. Here now is Anne Boru with the details.
The newly constructed container terminal 2 handles 40% of cargo equivalent to 450,000 TEUs at the port of Mombasa. This is attributed to the installation of the intelligent gates system at the facility that has enhanced cargo clearance.
KPA imeinvest sana kwa teknolojia. Our port is basically is essentially paperless today.
You don't deploy people to man the gates. They are automated. And it takes an average of 7 to 10 seconds to clear in a truck. So the efficiency level actually has gone up. The productivity level has gone up. The truck turnaround level has gone up.
The Joint Monitoring Center at the Inland Container Terminal in Nairobi has also made it easier for container tracking at the facility from the port of Mombasa.
When the containers are offloaded from the ships, they are fixed with a gadget which enables it to be tracked. And when they are loaded, you know the time it was loaded onto the wagons. And then you can also know where it is along the route, the railway line. Up to the time it arrives at the gate where it is stuck in the ICD, you are able also to tell the correct position where that container is.
Exporters are increasingly opting to ship out fresh produce cargo, driving up demand for cargo clearance at the Inland Container Terminal in Nairobi for shipping via the port of Mombasa. The first 3 of the 32 berths in Lamu Port are complete, with the Kenya Ports Authority now focusing on expansion of storage sheds. 11 vessels have checked on the port of Lamu since its launch, with the port officials optimistic of operations picking up as the world recovers from COVID-19 disruptions.
Indirectly, you can say, as they were working to, first of all, resume their routes to the traditional ports. So I am very sure that Lamu couldn't be a priority at that moment. But now that things are going to normal, and again, globally, people are learning how to live with the pandemic, this should not be a challenge to us looking forward to receiving vessels at Lamu.
Completion of the construction of Isiolo-Moyale Road is expected to boost cargo handling at the port of Lamu. For Business News, I am Anburu.
Kenyan businesses are being urged to embrace legitimate data protection service providers as cases of cyber threats increase with growing innovation. ESET East Africa CEO Karen Cherry says 90% internet connectivity, digital system adoption continuously increasing, but cyber security skills and knowledge still remains dismal.
Are adopting automated systems to run their operations. However, cyber threats have increased significantly, exposing many Kenyans to digital vulnerability. Cybersecurity providers are calling on Kenyan businesses, and especially MSMEs, to embrace data protection services to safeguard their systems, since a breach not only halts service provision, but also exposes them to financial losses.
We then need to reduce the time it takes to respond to these threats. And statistics show that if we minimize these times, we minimize the cost of breaches.
Cherry says with proper protection, the wide internet penetration would ensure seamless service delivery and financial inclusion. Despite this, she notes, many businesses still shun data protection services, dismissing it as services sought by large corporates and government agencies.
So you can stay continuously protected on the internet and enjoy the use of the internet without worry.
Many of them ended up working remotely, so at some point some of them felt that the information was not very secure, or rather protected. Some of them had issues with phishing of information.
The cyber risks include infringement, data miners and pedophiles who seek to exploit skill and design gaps to benefit themselves at the expense of others.
Data is the new oil. Data is growing everywhere, in Kenya included. So I think the future is bright. The challenge is that in as much as we're trying to do protection, there's some people who are also trying to do damage.
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Electricity outage at the Busia-Malaba one-stop border post is interfering with cargo clearance, contributing to traffic snarl-up. Testa North Member of Parliament Edward Oko says custom officials are taking more than 30 minutes to clear trucks and is appealing to the government to offer a sustainable electricity supply solution.
We have had for a very long time
power outages in this area that really interfere with the operation of business and interfere with the operation of many activities, economic activities in this sub-county and also in Busia County generally. My appeal to the Ministry of Energy is that they need to provide us with a line that is stable, to provide power that is dependable for the business community and the community generally in Tesa North to enjoy.
Well, time for us to get into that interactive session. What is the future of mobile phones? Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. On set is with me is Linus Mwangi, a product brand manager at the Techno Mobile Limited. Welcome on set.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Linus,
yes.
What is the future of mobile phones?
You know, right now everything is heading to, let's say for instance, each and every day you must use your mobile phone right now. So thinking of it, let's think of it this way. When it comes to mobile phone, it's a daily essential, especially for those who are doing, let's say, for instance, business. You need to send a document. You need to send a document to someone, to one of your colleagues. Use your mobile phone. You don't need to carry your laptop. So it's coming to eliminate these a lot of you having to carry bulky things to actually be able to transact and also do a lot of technology advancement. You can also look at now the increase of people who are actually doing content creation, of which is actually a good, very good industry. So when it comes to mobile phone future, the future is, I can say, it's wide and big.
When we look at the needs and you compare Africa to other parts of the world, what do you say would be the needs for Africans, especially Kenyans?
Okay, you know, when it comes to Africans and maybe let's say Kenyans, so most of our needs depend on what do you actually need in your mobile phone. Like for instance, most of our customers that you find is we focus on let's say technology, and especially now we are heading also to photography, videography, such kind of content. When it comes to, okay, let's take for instance me. I'm a parent. If I want to go home, if I want to use my phone, what do I normally use it for? So number one, is it for me to do my business? Number two, is it for me to record those beautiful moments with my family? Number three, is it for me, what kind of storage do I need in my gadget? Which kind of new technology is it that you're actually introducing?
And with all this in mind, what is the game changer with the products that you work with?
Okay, so right now, early on 20th of this month, we introduced a new product that is Techno Camo 19. So for the Techno Camo 19, when it comes to game changer, we are going to look at things like photography, videography. We have made huge strides when it comes to technology advancement, especially on photography and videography. So maybe I don't know how much time we have to discuss this topic because it's actually a very dear topic to me because of some of the new technology improvements that have actually been made in Camo 19. Like for instance, we can look at now the sensor for this product. We are introducing a new sensor, we call it RGBW. Now from RGBW, we actually, what you find is traditionally we used to have the red, green, and green plus blue pixel. So, but right now, you're going to introduce a white pixel. So what is the advantage of our white pixel to the local customers? Like for instance, as I was highlighting earlier, one of our major big advantage of our Camo 19 is the fact that it will be able to capture those crystal clear pictures when it comes to low light photography because of, number one, that new technology I have already highlighted, the RGBW. Number two, you're going to also find that from the traditional mobile phone, the traditional mobile phones, there is what you call the lenses at the back of the camera. So you find they used to be plastic, but in our Camo 19, we have introduced a glass lens so that to allow more light intake in the sensor to ensure that our customers can be able to enjoy good photography, especially in low light, because that's the concept. Can you stand out in low lights?
With all this creativity and all these changes in the mobile industry, how are content creators playing a role in Techno?
Okay, in Techno, content creators are more of give us an idea of what is expected on day-to-day basis. So let's say, for instance, a content creator gives us an idea of the needs of actually our common or local customers. So what do they need? What is dear to them? So basically that is the role that the content creators are doing for us.
And with all this competition, how are we looking at making it better for Africa to stand out?
You know, right now we have a lot of competitors in the market, so we have to ensure that we keep up with the game. We can be able to provide users with gadgets that they can be proud of, as users the gadgets that maybe our users can be able to feel that they stand out when they, let's say for instance, when you take out a Camo 19 like the one I'm holding right now, what is now, how do you feel about the gadget? So number one, can you be able to take good photography? Number two, can you be able to store enough data? Number three, are we offering you the enough guarantee that if you buy our gadget, it's going to give you the best service? Like right now on Camo 19, we have introduced a new warrant that was never there before. That is a 24 plus 1 month warrant for our product, ensuring that our users can be able to enjoy that good service for a long time and also trust our gadgets and our products.
Linus, where do we see the future of mobile phones in 2030?
In 2030, that's a very interesting topic, because right now I think most of the new improvements when it comes to technology and when it comes to mobile phones, it's the fact that you're going to have the technology is going to be very different. Like for instance, if I'm to take an example of a gadget like this one, we have introduced what you call the top one, number one bezel. That is removing all the black chin on the display, the black bezels on the display. So if you look at 2030, you might find a gadget that is actually pure full screen without any bezel at all. We can also look at maybe doing away with a lot of tablets. Finding there is a lot of areas that are yet to be explored. Between now and 2030, we are going to have a lot that our consumers are going to enjoy.
So how are you looking at improving the mobile services in general? This in ensuring that it plays a very key role in our daily lives.
Yeah, okay. So number one, we have to look at the daily needs of each and every customer. Let's say for instance, right now, when it comes to number one key important feature in all gadget phone is what, like let's say, battery. Because when you charge your phone early in the morning, you want to get back to the evening with fully charged. But at the same time, you need to take the shortest time possible to actually charge your phone. So right now in Camo 19, we have introduced the 33 watts. So that 33 watts flash charge. So that guarantees you that you can actually wake up early in the morning, even if you didn't charge your phone last night, wake up early in the morning, but the time you are done preparing yourself to go to work, your phone is fully charged. So ensuring that you can have that freedom to actually use your gadget seamlessly in the day.
Your parting words on the future of mobile phones as we come to an end of this interview, Linus.
Okay, so I think right now our consumers and all mobile phone consumers, they should be very we are heading to that very interesting part of smartphone. So with that, if you go out there and you are looking for actually a very good gadget, we have one Camo 19, whereby, like for instance, right now we are introducing 5G gadgets in the markets, so that improves on speed, the network, transfer of data. Let's say even right now it's video calls. You're going to have a very nice experience.
The future is bright, Linus. That is Linus Mwangi, the brand product manager at the Techno Mobile Limited, giving us an interactive session on the future of mobile phones. Good to have you, Linus.
Thank you.
Well, in other news, across the borders, a heat wave and fires are badly damaging Tunisia's grain harvest, leading the Farmers Union to forecast that outputs will not be more than 1.4 million tons. Loss of grain production comes as the North African country struggles with food importation costs driven higher by the war in Ukraine. Here are the details of the story and much more from across the continent.
The union and experts say the crop is suffering direct damage from high temperatures, which have already reached 47 degrees Celsius and are forecast to go as high as 49 degrees Celsius. Moreover, the heat wave could hinder agricultural workers from collecting the harvest. Tunisia has been counting on a big crop to reduce grain imports amid a national financial crisis that is exacerbated by the war. Higher prices of imported food and energy will cost the budget $1.7 billion this year, which subsidizes such supplies. The country has aimed at self-sufficiency this year in the production of durum wheat, the main grain that it produces. Some farmers are harvesting grain early, accepting smaller crops for fear of losing all their 2022 production to fires. Meanwhile, Uganda has secured 2,000 hectares of land in Masaka district for oil palm growing. 700 outgrowers with at least 1 to 5 acres have been selected to benefit from the project. The project is expected to start in September, as they are still waiting for an approval from the Environmental Impact Assessment Report. Prioritized areas are on the lake shores because of their conducive climate and easy transportation of crude oil palm using water vessels to the processing plant in Jinja. Outgrowers will be provided with fertilizers on loan to be paid back at the time of harvest. Currently, Uganda produces at least 40,000 tons of oil palm, but the Ministry of Agriculture, through the National Oil Palm Project, strives to increase it to 80,000 tons in the coming few years. Finally, farmers in Tanzania are worried about the increased cost of fertilizer, as global prices have skyrocketed, in part due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. A bag of fertilizer that earlier cost $25 per 50 kgs is now almost double the price. The short supply will inevitably impact crop yields, particularly for wheat, which requires a lot of fertilizer. Demand for locally produced fertilizer is rising, and small-scale farmers are now turning to big fertilizer manufacturers in the country. Local manufacturers say they are experiencing a sudden increase in demand and are struggling to fill orders. But manufacturers say they are unable to increase their capacity, partly due to heavy taxation. The World Food Programme has warned that the fertilizer shortage could push an additional 7 million people into food scarcity.
The Konza Technopolis Development Authority, KOTDA, has announced plans to formally roll out Phase 2 and 3 of the Konza Technopolis Development Master Plan in coming weeks after what it has said has been successful implementation of Phase 1. ICT Principal Secretary Jerome Ochieng says foreign and local investor appetite in various sectors has been on an upward trend due to government incentives and the special economic zone status of the smart city.
Set on 400 acres of land, Phase 1 of the Konza Technopolis has attracted investors in the light industrial, housing, academia, agricultural research and commercial, among others. The government says Phase 1 of Konza Technopolis, which is more than 80% complete, has given way for a new round of investments in Phase 2.
Collaborations with very many international agencies. We are looking forward to having the Research Institute. We're also looking forward to having a vaccine center. There are quite a number of things that both innovative and creative that will also be going on. We're looking at having the media center and all these kind of things that we need in a city environment.
Speaking during an investor conference, the government says there is a need to instill more confidence in major investors who are still deploying a wait-and-see attitude towards the long-term project.
I know people have been very impatient in terms of wondering what has been going on, but really, I want to emphasize the fact that we've really done some very, very good work, because we've spent most of our time working on the horizontal infrastructure. And the horizontal infrastructure in any building environment is key, and that has taken quite some time.
At Konza, we are providing you with a value proposition described by some people as a country where power goes off. At Konza, such will not be, because we are arguing the case, we are planning it well. We have put systems in place that will ensure that you do not only get continuous energy, but you get it clean.
Currently, according to Konza, besides the horizontal infrastructure, the project has created about 17,000 jobs in high-skilled labor and other indirect job opportunities. It now has a 700 megavolt Ampheres power station and a wastewater reclamation facility. The Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, KAIST, a conference center, and residential units are among the vertical infrastructure at different stages of construction in the technopolis.
And the next step is to see now the private sector investment, and we are very excited to see what's happening, the progress on the uptake of the investment. Now the next step is to see actually the investment by the private sector.
Konza is calling on investors to look to the new phases 2 and 3, which will see the establishment of a digital media city, smart vaccine manufacturing initiative, a science and technology park in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Dubai Multi-Commodity Center Corporation. Alanaoko, Lunchtime News.
Access to solar lighting products is set to ease following the entry of 14 more solar companies under the second phase of the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project, KOSAP. The 390 million shillings project aims at increasing the uptake of solar home systems across 14 counties considered off-grid.
Over the years, more Kenyans are opting for solar energy rather than connecting their households to the national grid due to the high connection costs as well as the high cost of power maintenance.
I want you also to know that solar has really not become a very easy thing in this country. Whereas countries like Morocco, countries like the Arab United Emirates, their tariff on solar stands at about 1.5 to 2. The tariff for solar in this country is 12. And that's why then it's not so much of an easy venture. And that's why we really must also find a way in which we can actually be able to ensure that the solar component, because there is modernization and the prices for the solar should be coming down.
This has led to the growth of the commercial photovoltaic system marketplaces, with sales estimated to be between 25,000 and 30,000 photovoltaic modules made yearly and 1 or 2 megawatts of utility solar installed. To further boost access to solar home systems, the government, in partnership with the Balbank and Dutch energy firm SNV, has rolled out the second phase of Kenya's off-grid solar access project, KOSAP.
And for clean cooking has been to reach 2.5 million people reaching access to clean cooking and 1.9 million people gaining access to off-grid solar.
This round, we are really encouraging that the companies really focus on involvement of local last-mile entrepreneurs in this particular implementation.
Under the project, 390 million shillings will be shared out among 14 firms that have been selected to undertake the supply and distribution of solar equipment across 14 counties under the KOSAP project.
And of course, the 14 countries, as you will bear with me, the West Pokot, Turkana, Marsabit, Samburu, Isiolo, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Lamu, Kilifi, Kwale, Taita Taveta, and Narok. Definitely, if you look from the map, these areas are also difficult. So for some of you who are going to provide services, you really must be focused. Rest or what you expect to deliver from those counties might actually experience some challenges.
Principal Secretary, Ministry of Energy, retired Major General Dr. Gordon Kihalangwa, says this is part of the government's efforts to achieve universal access to electricity by 2026 as per the Kenya National Electrification Strategy. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Across the border, Sri Lanka has suspended sales of fuel for non-essential vehicles as it faces its worst economic crisis in decades. For the next 2 weeks, only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. Schools in urban areas have shut and officials have told the country's 22 million residents to work from home. Here now are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The South Asian nation is in talks over a bailout deal as it struggles to pay for imports such as food and fuel. On Monday, the government said it will ban private vehicles from buying petrol and diesel until 10th July. The cash-strapped country has also sent officials to the major energy producers Russia and Qatar in a bid to secure cheap oil supplies. Sri Lanka's economy has been hit hard by the pandemic, rising energy prices and populist tax cuts. Over the weekend, officials say the country had only 9,000 tons of diesel and 6,000 tons of petrol to fuel essential services in the coming days. Meanwhile, Russia is believed to have defaulted on its debt for the first time since 1998 after missing a key deadline. Russia has the money to make a $100 million payment, which was due on Sunday, but sanctions made it impossible to get the sum to international creditors. The country had been determined to avoid the default, which is a major blow to the nation's prestige. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said statements of a default were absolutely unjustified. He added that an intermediary bank had withheld the money and that the reserves were blocked unlawfully. The White House said that Russia had defaulted on paying yields on its international bonds, crediting sanctions for effectively cutting Russia off the global financial system. Finally, oil prices rallied for a third day on Tuesday as major producers Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates looked unlikely to be able to boost output significantly, while political unrest in Libya and Ecuador added to those supply concerns. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose $1.13 to $110.7 a barrel, extending at 1.8% gain in the previous session. Brent crude futures advanced $1.26 to $116.35 a barrel, adding to a 1.7% rise in the previous session. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia have been seen as the only two countries in the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries with spare capacity available to make up for the lost Russian supply and a weak output from other member nations. Terry Njenga, Lunchtime News.
The African Union has called for investigations into the death of 23 migrants while attempting to cross the Melilla border point into the Spain enclave from Morocco. This is the worst such tragedy that Spain's two North African enclaves have seen. Elsewhere, at least 46 people have been found dead in an abandoned lorry on the outskirts of San Antonio, Texas, USA.
Moussa Faki Mahamad, the chairman of the African Union Commission, via tweet called for immediate investigation into the death of 23 people and 2 police officers who died in chaos that erupted after migrants attempted to scale border fences to reach Spanish territory via the Melilla enclave. Mahamad reminded all countries of their obligations under international law to treat all migrants with dignity and to prioritize their safety and human rights. Moroccan authorities have termed the incidents as a stampede and claim over 140 officers were injured in the fiasco. Elsewhere, at least 46 people have been found dead in an abandoned lorry on the outskirts of San Antonio, Texas, USA. 16 others, including 4 children, have been taken to hospital. The 46 were among a group of migrants attempting to gain entrance into the United States. It is suspected that the immigrants likely died from heat, exhaustion, and dehydration occasioned by San Antonio's blistering summer heat. The immigrants' nationalities are yet to be confirmed. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Samuel Karaoke.
Thank you for staying with us. Time for Channel 1 Sports News. Sri Lanka has suspended sales of fuel for non-essential vehicles. I'll check that again. Britain's Andy Murray maintained his record of never losing in the first round at Wimbledon with an encouraging win over Australia's James Duckworth, while British number 1 Emma Raducanu had a winning start to her first Wimbledon as a Grand Slam champion.
Andy Murray overcame Australia's James Duckworth in the Wimbledon opener to maintain his record of never losing in the first round. After a slow start, the former world number 1, now ranked 52nd, won 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 and 6-4 under the floodlight on the centre court. The 35-year-old Scot will now face American John Isner, seeded 20th in the second round on Wednesday. Meanwhile, British number 1 Emma Raducanu had a winning start to her first Wimbledon as the Grand Slam champion. The 19-year-old overcame a nervous start on her centre court debut to beat Alison Van 6-4, 6-4 on the first and second set. Backed by an enthusiastic home crowd, the US Open champion showed no sign of side injury that hurt her build-up. She'll face Caroline Garcia next after France's former world number 4 edge British wildcard Lily Miyazaki.
Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbare has been handed an extra 1-year ban for additional doping violations to add to her existing 10-year suspension. As a result of Okagbare's additional ban, Nigeria has lost its potential qualification place in the women's 4x100 meters relay at July's World Championships in Oregon.
In February, the 3-year-old Blessing Okagbare was banned for multiple breaches of anti-doping rules. She was suspended during 2021 Tokyo Olympic after failing a drug test. Okagbare, the 2008 Olympic long jump silver medalist, was a medal contender for women's 100 meters in Tokyo last year and won her heat in 11.05 seconds. But she was ruled out of the semi-finals after she tested positive of human growth hormone following an out-competition test on 19th July.
And Okagbare is starting to forge away. Has she done it again here? Okagbare surprises everybody.
As a result, Okagbare's additional ban, Nigeria has lost its potential qualification place in the women's 4x100 meters relay in July's World Championship. For Sports News, I'm Kingori Mwangi.
End of Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for your company. Also on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Quick acknowledgements. Cleophas Kemboi, watching KBC Channel 1 from the county of Nakuru. In Biaka, Platinum, you're saying very impressive interview there on the future of mobile phones. Thank you for your company on behalf of the entire team. We do appreciate your feedback. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lucy Moura. Till some other time, God bless you.
As campaign intensified for the upcoming general election, what does all this mean for you, the voter? What do the candidates have to offer? How prepared are agencies charged with the election process? Join John Kuria and Safina Chieng on Kenya Decides. This and every Tuesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with a panel of various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
Calm down, beautiful. Hujapoteza uzuri wako wala heshima yako.
Mbona hauko mwazi na mimi? Amesema nini?
hajasema chochote. Ni yale maneno mimi niliyomtupia. Ndio nina hakika Kate atafikiria mambo yake kichwani na atafanya kitu ambacho sio kizuri.
Wewe na bad story kwisha.
Wewe utasikiaje mtu aje nyumbani kwako tunakumchukua Hana?
Don't you even think about that.
Damn it. What's wrong? She was prepared to die.
To die? We can't talk right here. Just follow. Oh.
Betsy! How can you leave us? How can you leave us again and again like this? 都是假象。
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, ni Echo D da kama kawaida aka the ghetto president, na una watch Grapevine au sio on KBC. Keep it locked. Sham bamba.